I tell you what, a lot of people who fight were very impressed with Danny Garcia. This was a fight you had to know boxing to know who won. If you didn't know boxing, you would automatically assume Keith Thurman was winning the fight because he's just coming forward. Not to mention the fact that he wasn't landing a lot of shots, and like you thought he was. A lot of them were being caught by the gloves and being slipped and rolled. But he was active. So I don't really fault a lot of you guys for seeing the fight the way you did. Especially the first 4 rounds. You talk to a lot of people, they say Danny Garcia lost the first 4 rounds of the fight. I've heard that a lot. I even heard that from my buddy who do the Real Brothers with me all the time. You know, he thought it was a landslide, 8 rounds to maybe 4 for Danny Garcia. And, you know, I understand that. He has a skewed vision. That's how I make a lot of money off him during the fights. Now, with that being said, Danny Garcia, he's a known counterpuncher, but he done things in that ring that he should have been given a lot of credit for as far as a boxer and boxing ability. He was able to stay calm, stay in the pocket, not run from Keith Thurman, and be at the end of the punches, but to stay there, still land jabs, which was shocking to me, because Danny really doesn't jab that much. But he landed a lot of jabs, kept Thurman there with feints, went to the body a lot more than he usually does, and was successful. Just in those middle rounds, he should have been more active and more aggressive, but he was saving it for the home stretch. And Keith Thurman saw that Danny Garcia hit a little harder than he thought. It was a little bit more solid. So, a rematch would probably play out, I think, a lot differently. Keith would be a little bit more cautious and will just try to win, just doing a little bit and staying away from Danny Garcia. So, I have to ask a question. Is Danny Garcia a victim of his personality, and that cost him the fight? Because I had the fight a draw, 6 rounds. I'm going to go watch it again, so that Wednesday night on Rope-A-Dope Radio, I will have my final assessment of the fight. But right now, I have it a draw. But is Danny Garcia a victim of his personality? That's what needs to be asked here. Because Danny Garcia definitely should have gotten a draw, in my opinion. He won a lot more rounds than a lot of people saw, but because of his personality, you know, how could you take it away from Thurman? First off, the disrespect to call the event Thurman versus Garcia when Danny Garcia is the one going for a unification in 2 different weight classes. I mean, he was the WBC champion forever at 140. Then he wins the WBC championship at 147. But yet the event is called Thurman versus Garcia. It just doesn't make any sense. When he's only had 1 fight, really, Keith Thurman, and that was Sean Porter. Now, once again, there's apples and oranges here. But let's just say this was an event, set up, stage, everything for Keith Thurman. Keith Thurman has a personality that the media loves. Danny Garcia is like, you know, this box of tissue I got here. You know, he's just not going to give you much. He's a fighter. He's not a talker. That's why Angel's there. Angel will do all the talking for you. But Danny is not that personality. But as a team, they work very well together. It's just that it's easier to sell Keith Thurman to the home people, and He's going to be flamboyant. He's going to throw wild shots. He's going to still run his mouth. And that's what the media love. He gives them something to print. So if there was a close fight on the hands, they're going to give it to Keith Thurman. So I'm not upset with the scores. I picked Keith Thurman to win. I never pick against Danny Garcia. And you see what happened. I was more impressed by what Danny was able to do in this fight. And I thought this fight really exposed Keith Thurman a lot. More than helped him. I'm out.